Good afternoon, everybody who has already joined us. Welcome to the Saturday reading and training session. As you all know, we are on the third chapter of Wanted Backbencher Last Ranker Teacher. Last Saturday, we had some wonderful reflections that we discussed. We read and we gave you all some tips on how we can write better reflections. Sandeep and I took you in ahead in that session. And today we are back to reading because next week, as Sandeep sir has already mentioned to us in the WhatsApp group, as well as he just spoke about it, those of you who heard us talking will know that we are expecting a guest to address us the next Saturday. So, this Saturday we will read this chapter. Let me start by reading Love Learning versus Hate Learning. So, it's literally, if you looked at it, last chapter also we had something versus something, and now we have love learning versus hate learning. Okay. Miss Roma, Mr. Roderick will see you at 10 a.m. in the director's office. The words had been ringing in her head since 7:50 a.m. The moment she entered the school campus, Roshan, the office assistant, came running to remind her of the meeting with the boss and that she should not be late under any circumstance. Roma knew Jacob Sir was out of the country and wondered which Mr. Roderick was going to meet her and for what reason. Paul Sir was not intimidating, said rumors. Patrick Sir was warm and kind to all the employees, according to most teachers. Tim and Wilson Sirs rarely met the staff, and Simon Sir ripped people apart. The anxiety and mystery of what was going to happen to her today was something she would have to live with for another hour, Roma thought apprehensively. After a social science lesson for class 8, she took her own class out as promised. She sat under a shady oak tree and watched them play basketball. It was a pleasure to watch them run across the length and breadth of the court as they screeched, cheered, and laughed without inhibition. Surprisingly, they were so well mannered here. They were happy only when they were out of class, she thought sadly. Picking up the ball that had rolled towards her, she threw it towards Sri Karma, who shot like a rocket across the court with the ball, leaving everyone behind. As Sri Karma scored another basket for the girls' team, Simmi ran across to give her a bear hug. Sri Karma looked both surprised and happy. After that, she kept grinning throughout the match. That hug from one of the sizzlers meant a lot to her. Roma was glad she had brought them out. She was worried by the bitter rivalry between the groups in her class. At the sound of the electric bell at 9:45 a.m., Roma quickly collected the reluctant students in spite of their loud groans and moans. They had science while she had a meeting with the boss, she thought nervously. If you behave well and complete your assignments, I will bring you free time again, Roma promised. So, just a little pause here, Sandeep. I just want to ask all those who have joined us already. Um, यहाँ पे आप लोगों ने देखा एक महत्वपूर्ण बात है कि रोमा बच्चों को बाहर लेके आई थी एक क्लास में फ्री टाइम दिया था बच्चे खेल रहे थे एंड शी नोटिस्ड दैट द चिल्ड्रन वर वेरी हैप्पी एंड शी थॉट उन्होंने सोचा कि बच्चे जब बाहर आए हैं खेलने के लिए तब वो इतने खुश हैं लेकिन क्लास में इतने खुश नहीं हैं क्या ये सिचुएशन टीचर्स के लिए कुछ मैसेज देता है या क्या ये सिचुएशन हमें कुछ कन्वे करता है अपने क्लासरूम के बारे में अपने पढ़ाई कराने के बारे में Would anyone like to just quickly do a quick thought on this? आप में से कोई बोलना चाहेगा कि क्या आपको क्या लगता है? Anybody? संदीप, यहाँ पे मुझे लगता है कि अगर टीचर्स इस बात को थोड़ा सोचे तो एक बहुत बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट चीज हमें अपने क्लास के बारे में पता चलेगा, बिकॉज इफ हाँ जी, बोलिए सुनीता।
Yes, ma'am. If we will take our student outside, just
हम्म
ma'am, first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity. If we will take our student outside, they will feel energetic and they will get fresh air. Like that way, they interested to learn what we are going to teach them.
Yeah, but my question, Sunita, was that it's not about whether you will take your class out or not. When
Okay.
Roma took the class out, the class
Yes, ma'am.
children were happier and she saw a better relationship developing between the students outside on the basketball court than it was happening in the classroom. So, what is the message to the teachers over here? It's not about taking them outside. There is a different thing that I'm trying to get at, if you can understand that. That's what I want to ask all of you.
Teacher
थोड़ा
must
सा हाँ जी, बोलिए।
take out, they have to take, teacher must have to take outside. They have to give environment of outside.
They have to create the environment of outside in the classroom. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying. Okay, good.
Yes.
That's a very good thought. How will we do that is what we want to discuss. Um, जय हिंद सुनीता त्रिपाठी, आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगी? Acha, if there is no one else, then I would like you all to hold on to what Sunita Gupta just said. उन्होंने जो बात कही कि हमें जो बाहर का माहौल है, अगर उस तरीके का माहौल अपने क्लास में हम क्रिएट कर सकते हैं तो फिर बच्चे उसी तरह से खुशी खुशी पढ़ेंगे क्लास में। तो ये माहौल हम किस तरह क्रिएट कर सकेंगे, इसके बारे में हम चैप्टर के आखिर में फिर से चर्चा करेंगे। सो होल्ड योर थॉट्स ऑन दैट एंड लेट्स रीड द रेस्ट ऑफ द चैप्टर। If you behave well and complete your assignments, I will promise you. Sorry, Sandeep, we'll have to go back to the page. I will give you free time again, Roma promised. Roma nervously paced the beige carpeted corridor outside the director's office. The receptionist, yeah, had asked her to wait, and each minute seemed to be an hour. You may go in now. The words should have ended her agony, but they did not. She felt even more agitated on learning that it was Simon Sir who wanted to see her along with Mr. Paul. In a mounting state of apprehension, Roma walked through the polished oak paneled door only to stumble over the upturned corner of the carpet. Although she managed to steady herself, the dramatic entry killed whatever courage she had gathered. So you were honest in your resume, Roma, said the man sitting across the room at the large rectangular table. I beg your pardon, sir, squeaked Roma. You mentioned that you wanted to grow old disgracefully. Well, सुनीता, अपना माइक म्यूट में रख दीजिए प्लीज। Sunita Tripathi, please put your mic on mute. Okay. You mentioned that you wanted to grow old disgracefully. Well, I'm sure you won't have to work very hard at that if you keep falling and stumbling about like this, the man mocked. Please come in, Roma, and take a seat, the other man spoke in a friendly voice. Counting from room 1 to 10, Roma walked over the beige carpet. Praying desperately for strength, she sat down, facing both the men in their dark suits. Good morning, Simon, sir, Paul, sir, she whispered, wondering who was who. The rude fellow would have to be Simon, sir, she thought. You must have guessed I am Simon, the speaker confirmed, turning over some sheets in a yellow file. Yes, sir, Roma stammered, looking guilty when the man raised one eyebrow in enquiry. And I am Paul, Roma. How do you do? The other man held out his hand toward the new teacher, sitting upright in her chair. Her hand was ice cold, he thought sympathetically. Since it has already been more than 4 weeks, we thought it was time to meet and find out if all is well, Simon said. Yes, sir, all is well, Roma answered immediately, clutching her hands together tightly under the table. Really? Simon shot at her. I am trying. The words were abruptly cut off as Simon leaned over the table, looked at the woman dressed in black, and read. We don't try in this school, Roma. We bring results. And shouldn't I address you as Roma Mathur, ex-fiancée of Ravi Srivastav, son of the hotel magnate Shri Mangesh Srivastav? Roma was incredulous. How did he find out? I am just Roma Mathur, sir. My personal life has nothing to do with my work in school, she answered curtly, anger suddenly erupting within her. How dare he, she thought in fury. We are not at all interested in your personal life, as long as it does not interfere with your work in school, Roma. But we have a right to know why you applied for this job when it pays not even half of what you were drawing at Arctic Air. And why have you chosen to come and live in a quiet place like Mussoorie after living in a city like Mumbai? Simon said, ignoring a sharp kick from Paul. I am about to lose this job, Roma told herself, feeling miserable and wondering when the past would leave her alone. Then she noticed the headline on the newspaper clipping in the pocket of the yellow file. The article was a month old when Ravi and she had mutually decided to part ways. Ravi, being the sole heir to the Srivastav group of hotels, had attracted press attention following the family's announcement of the engagement being terminated. Unfortunately, the article also had the picture of them together taken when they were still engaged. Why have you applied for a school job, Miss Roma? And don't give me anything but the truth, because we know from the resume that you never wanted to be a teacher, said Simon coldly. To answer your first question, I came to Mussoorie because my parents live here. This is where I spent my childhood. To answer your second question, I, well, you see, Roma struggled to find the right words so that she wouldn't be misunderstood. Otherwise, the sacrifices she had made to get this job would have been in vain. I want only the truth, Roma. Please bear in mind that I am not gullible like Jacob, Simon said softly, but his tone was intimidating. Well, I am not a terrorist or an international spy, Roma retorted, feeling cornered. There is no need to be overdramatic. Just tell us the truth, Simon spoke in a no nonsense voice. Well, I want to adopt a 3.5-year-old child, and I need references from at least 5 people that I can look after her. The agency asked for reference letters from a reputed organization and esteemed members of society who work and deal with children. Roma finally revealed the truth about why she had applied for the post of a teacher. Taking a shuddering breath, she thought that since those letters were important for the adoption process, it was better that she disclosed everything right now. What? Simon uttered, shocked. He had always felt that this woman was foolish, but this was the height of insanity. And for that, you quit your highly paid job and applied for the post of a teacher in our school? Paul asked, rubbing his jaw thoughtfully. I haven't quit my job at Arctic Air. I have taken leave. In a few months, they will renew the contract, which ends in 3 months. Roma answered uncomfortably, noting visible disapproval in Paul Sir's face. She knew that what she had done was wrong professionally, but desperate times called for desperate measures. And who in the school do you think will give you those letters? Simon asked. You will, sir, Roma said, suddenly letting go of all caution. If the job had to go, it would. She would look for something else. She just wanted reference letters and nothing celestial. Also, Paul sir, Jacob sir, Uttara, and maybe some other kind hearted teachers. Roma continued, listing people whose letters would be of tremendous help. I must say, you have a lot of audacity, Roma. Let me enlighten you. I am not kind, Simon answered angrily, unable to believe her cheekiness. She was impudent. We are all born with a heart which not only pumps blood but also makes us feel different emotions. And I also know that if I prove to be a good teacher, you will oblige me with a letter, Roma answered quietly. What cheek you have, Roma. But now that your deceit is out in the open, let's talk about your work, progress, and performance. Simon turned to another page in the file, which had the school coordinator's report. You walked out of your class twice last week. Please explain. Simon decided he was going to show the lady how inefficient she was. And she wanted reference letters, he thought in annoyance and disbelief. It was a mistake, sir. I apologize, Roma answered, feeling ashamed now for the anger and helplessness she had experienced when she had not been able to control the ruckus. Roma, do you know that after you left, kids broke 4 LED lights and also the window panes? Paul asked. Yes, sir, I know. I'm sorry for what happened because of my negligence. They played cricket in the class, Roma replied shamefacedly, her eyes lowered. It is dangerous to leave a class unattended, Roma. Are you aware of that? Simon was almost shouting. Paul kicked him again. I know. It won't ever happen again, Roma replied remorsefully. And how will you make sure it won't happen again? Simon asked in exasperation. By taking them out so that they can play cricket, she said, shrugging casually. You will take them out to play during their English and social science classes, Roma? Have you gone through the results of the weekly test of your class? Paul asked. Yes, I have. And I give you a word, and I will work on the average and below average students seriously, Roma assured them. Just give me some time. Take all the time you want, Roma. Just remember that midterm is coming up in less than 7 weeks, Simon warned. So I still have the job, Roma thought in relief. I will do my best, sir, Roma replied weakly, not sure if she would be able to keep her promise. Prognosis for the class was bleak. As she got up to leave, Simon spoke again. And next time, please report officially when students behave inappropriately in the school campus. Such cases should be brought to the notice. Yeah, Sandeep, to the notice of the management immediately. Am I clear? He's talking about Jeevan, Roma thought ruefully. Such stories travel fast. Yes, I will definitely do that, sir. And thank you. Roma got up to leave. The lady has a lot of spunk, Paul remarked with amusement after she had left. Few people had the courage to speak to Simon in that way, he thought in admiration. When Simon did not answer, he said, I also think she could be the right person for that class. You never know. Don't come to conclusions so quickly. She is the kind of person I wouldn't trust easily, Simon mumbled. Leaving the main building, Roma walked towards the cafeteria to help herself to a cup of hot, sweet tea, mentally calculating the time she had to work on the struggling students. She still recalled how pained she had been last week when she went through the results. She had checked and rechecked the consolidated mark list. There was no mistake. The marks had been entered correctly. 15 had failed in math. 10 had single digit marks in science. 8 had performed miserably in social science. And 7 more were borderline. Failed. How she hated that word. She knew in her heart that it wasn't only the child who had failed. Many other factors contributed to performance dysfunction. During last week's academic meeting with the principal, Mrs. Kapoor had told her that the performance of her class had been the worst in the school. No other class had as many failures as her class. Roma, your class has performed very badly in the weekly test. I know you have just joined, but you will have to find some way of addressing this. Mrs. Kapoor winced at the single digits as she went through the assignment sheets one at a time. Kapoor, ma'am, these are the same kids who had failed last year also. Supriya does not want to study. Simi is only interested in making her skirts shorter. Patricia is busy running after the so-called sizzlers, while Shreyas, Arjun, and Antony only want to stand in the corridors or spend their time in the washroom. The marks of good students like Rakhi have also started falling. Sumita intervened. She had been their class teacher last year and knew them well. There was no hope for them. Sumita, are you saying we should give up on slow learners because they failed last year also? We don't give up on our children, so why give up on our students? Mrs. Kapoor admonished Sumita for her careless comments. Despite being such a capable teacher, she sometimes sounded so insensitive. Okay, I'm going to take a pause here. Sandeep sir, if we can just go back to the last page. There's one sentence मुझे लगता है कि हमें सबको इस पर्टिकुलर पैराग्राफ पे बड़े ध्यान से इसको देख पढ़ना पड़ेगा और सोचना पड़ेगा. Look at this. We don't give up on our own children. So why do we give up on our students? Can I have some thoughts on this? थोड़ा इस सेंटेंस पे थोड़ी सी चर्चा कर लेते हैं. ये आपको यहाँ तक अगर किसी को भी कोई सिचुएशन समझने में कोई डिफिकल्टी हुई है तो प्लीज आस्क. पर अभी हमें पता लग गया है कि जो इस कहानी की मुख्य पात्रिका है, द मेन person in the story, Roma has had a problem with her class and the way she deals with her class, और मैनेजमेंट से उसकी शिकायत हुई है and she has already faced the management. अब उन लोगों को लगता है कि इनको एक मौका देना चाहिए, लेकिन रोमा को इन लोगों से कई सारे मामलों में डांट पड़ चुकी है. और इससे पहले उनकी जो कोऑर्डिनेटर मैम थी, अभी वहां पे भी इनकी चर्चा हो रही है अबाउट द बैड मार्क्स ऑफ द क्लास, द बैड परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ द क्लास. और जो इनसे पहले टीचर थी उस क्लास की, look at her attitude towards the children. So if you look at that paragraph where Sumita is talking about the children, last week हमने डिस्कस किया था that we must respect the children. But if you look at the sentences that Sumita ma'am is using, is there any kind of a respect for these children? इस पैराग्राफ को थोड़ा सा पढ़िएगा. मैं एक और बार पढ़ रही हूं इसे. कपूर मैम, these are the same kids who failed last year also. Supriya does not want to study. Simmi is only interested in making her skirts shorter. Patricia is busy running after the so called sizzlers, while Shreyas, Arjun, and Anthony only want to stand in the corridors or spend their time in the washroom. The marks of good students like Rakhi have also started falling. तो यहाँ पे जिस तरह से इस टीचर ने कुछ बच्चों के नाम लेकर बात किया है, इससे हम लोगों को क्या लगता है टीचर के बारे में, ये मैं जानना चाहूंगी। कोई भी बोल सकता है, अपना हाथ रेज करिए और आप बताइए कि आपका सोच क्या है इस टीचर के बारे में और इसका जो एटीट्यूड है टुवर्ड्स द चिल्ड्रन, इसके बारे में। एनीबडी कैन शेयर।
Good afternoon, ma'am.
गुड आफ्टरनून।
Ma'am, I think the teacher has made the perception that these students will not change.
यस।
And she is passing on the same perception to other teacher. And
हाँ।
this happens that if somebody will tell something about somebody, same we will also start thinking and we'll
Yes.
form that perception.
Absolutely. Very good. Can you identify yourself, please? And I would suggest that whenever anybody talks, if you can please switch on your camera, that'll be nice. Yeah. What's your name?
Sheetal.
Sheetal. All right. Good. Very good, Sheetal. She has been also, there is a word called being judgmental. Okay, so not only has she passed a remark, she has become very judgmental over here and she has judged the children. उन्होंने ठान लिया है कि these children are not interested. इनका इंटरेस्ट जो है पढ़ाई के अलावा बाकी सब चीज़ों में है। और जिस तरीके के रिमार्क्स इन्होंने बच्चों के बारे में पास किए हैं, ये टीचर का एक स्वभाव दिखलाता है कि ये बच्चों के प्रति इनका कुछ अलग ही सोच है। राइट, इट इज नॉट करेक्ट टू बी जजमेंटल, इट इज ऑल्सो नॉट करेक्ट टू नॉट पुट योर सेल्फ इन देयर शूज। हमने कई सप्ताह हमने एम्पति की बात की थी, तो यहाँ पे टीचर की एम्पति कहाँ गई? क्योंकि यहाँ पे तो एम्पति नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है, यहाँ पे क्रिटिसिज्म दिखाई दे रहा है, यहाँ पे जजमेंट दिखाई दे रहा है टीचर का। तो ये चीज़ें हमें अपने लिए सोचनी है कि क्या हम दूसरों के बारे में इस तरह के जजमेंट्स पास करना एक स्टाफ मीटिंग में, ये क्या सही है या नहीं, ये एक हमें डेफिनेटली सोचना पड़ेगा, इस पे रिफ्लेक्ट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। Okay, Sandeep, you want to say something?
There are two words, Brinda, which come to my mind.
Yeah.
One is patience, and second is perception.
Yes.
When you lose patience, you let perceptions take over. And when you let perceptions take over, your mind will get clouded.
Yes.
So the cardinal rule for a teacher is patience comes before perception, even in the dictionary.
Yeah.
So you can
I like that.
If you can hold your patience, perceptions won't matter. और
Yeah.
जैसे आपने स्वभाव की बात की ना, ये स्वभाव ही है जो हमें बनाता है। और स्वभाव जो असली बात स्वभाव की आपको देखना है कि जिस स्थिति में, जिस परिस्थिति में आप हैं, जिस समय, उस परिस्थिति में आप अपना बीता हुआ कल भी बना सकते हैं, आने वाला कल भी बना सकते हैं। तो वो जो परिस्थिति आप बनाना चाहते हैं वो आपके हाथ में है। आप अपने बच्चे पर, जैसे इसमें बड़ा क्लियरली कहा गया, अपने बच्चे पे कभी भी गिव अप नहीं करेंगे। आप
Yes.
कभी भी हार नहीं मानेंगे अपने बच्चे के साथ। आप कोशिश करते रहेंगे कि आपका बच्चा आगे बढ़े। तो इसमें फर्क क्यों? जो टीचर तो मदर पहले होती है, टीचर बाद में होती है। आप मदर पहले बनती हैं, टीचर बाद में बनती हैं। बहुत कम लोग हैं जो टीचर पहले बन जाते हैं। पहले तो मदर ही बनते हैं।
यस सर।
या तो अब संदीप, मैं यहाँ पे एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात शेयर करना चाहूंगी। जब मैंने अपनी ये करियर शुरू किया था, सो मेनी इयर्स अगो, 47 इयर्स हो गए हैं मुझे करियर शुरू किए। तो तब जिस प्रिंसिपल के साथ हमने पहले पहले काम किया था, जब भी किसी बच्चे के साथ प्रॉब्लम होता था, तो वो स्टाफ रूम में एक सेंटेंस जरूर कहते थे कि ये बच्चा अगर आपके खुद का बच्चा होता तो आप क्या करते? You know, that is what it reminded me. The moment I read this sentence, I remembered this statement by the then principal, Mr. Iyengar, and he would say, if this child was your own child, what would you have done? So, can you not think like that for the child in your class, for the children in the school? पूरा हमारा परसेप्शन बदल जाता है जब हम उनको अपना समझने लगते हैं और अपना सोच के उनके लिए हम कुछ सोचते हैं, तो हमारी सोच ही बदल जाती है। तो हमें हमेशा ही एक वेरेज हम कभी ये नहीं रेकमेंड करेंगे कि आप इमोशनली जुड़ जाएं बच्चों के साथ, मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूं, पर बच्चों के प्रति जो एम्पैथी दिखानी होती है, जो बच्चों के प्रॉब्लम्स को हमने समझने होते हैं, उसको अगर हम समझ कर काम करें तो ऐसी सिचुएशन नहीं आएगी जहां पे हम जजमेंटल बन जाते हैं, जहां पे हम सिर्फ क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं। हमें पता है वो ये है वो है सब कुछ है, लेकिन इनको हम किस तरह से सही मार्ग पे लाएं वो हमें सोचना पड़ेगा। राइट,
वृंदा,
यस,
आपने चीजें कही कई बार, अपनाना और समझना,
बिल्कुल।
और
हाँ,
ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण चीजें हैं एक टीचर के लिए। और अपनाने की जब बात आपने कही तो आपने लास्ट टाइम चैप्टर में देखा था, बीइंग फ्रेंड्स एंड फ्रेंडली, हमने
यस,
डिस्कस किया
ये
था,
इसके ऊपर भी हमने चर्चा की
हमने
थी।
चर्चा की थी। अब हमारे लिए मुख्य बात इस वक्त ये है कि हम यहाँ पे तो चर्चा कर रहे हैं, पर
हम्म।
हम जैसे आगे चल रहे हैं, हमने ये अब सोच के ठाना है कि हम साथ साथ आपके रिफ्लेक्शन चाहेंगे हमारे पास आए। हमने
हाँ,
ओरिजिनली जो प्लान बनाया था, ये प्लान बनाया था, पहले हम पढ़ेंगे, फिर हम बात करेंगे, फिर हम रिफ्लेक्शन की इंतजार करेंगे। बट अब हम वैसे नहीं कर रहे। जो हम आज बात कर रहे हैं, आप इस बात को अपने रिफ्लेक्शन में कन्वर्ट कीजिए और साथ साथ हमें भेजिए। आप व्हाट्सएप में कर दीजिए रिफ्लेक्शन, आप ज्यादा
एग्जैक्टली, हाँ,
व्हाट्सएप में कर दीजिए, वहां से मनीषा पिकअप कर लेगी, वो अपनी ब्लॉग में रिकॉर्ड कर देगी। हम उतना भी कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि हम में से बहुत सारे लोगों के पास ईमेल ही नहीं होता। तो
हम्म,
अगर आपके पास ईमेल नहीं है और आप ईमेल से अपना रिफ्लेक्शन नहीं पहुंचा सकते, आप टीचर्स एकेडमी के व्हाट्सएप में अपने ख्याल जरूर हमारे साथ शेयर करें, बिकॉज आपके ख्याल आप रिफ्लेक्शन
यस,
है। और आप ख्यालात से दुनिया बदल सकते हैं। मैं सिर्फ एक सेंटेंस कहूंगा, आपके ख्यालात दुनिया बदल सकते हैं, और आप में बहुत क्षमता है। उस क्षमता को हमने कोशिश करके आपके साथ हाथ बांट के आप में से ढूंढ के निकालना है, इसलिए हम यहाँ पे हैं। हमने आपकी क्षमता को बाहर निकालना है, और वो तभी आएगी जब आप रिफ्लेक्शन करेंगे। जब आप रिफ्लेक्शन ही नहीं,
बिल्कुल सही।
तो क्षमता कैसे उभरेगी? सबसे बड़ा सवाल तो यही है कि आप रिफ्लेक्शन करने में इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है, तो आप आगे कैसे बढ़ेंगे? आप देखिए, आप जब होनहार बनते हैं, आप क्रिकेट खेलते हैं, आप प्रैक्टिस करते रहते हैं, करते रहते हैं, आप वॉकिंग करते हैं, करते रहते हैं, करते रहते हैं, और प्रैक्टिस करते रहते हैं। इसलिए आपको रिफ्लेक्शन करना एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है। नोट्स बनाना नहीं, मैं बार बार बोलूंगा, हमारा जो सिस्टम है वो नोट्स बनाने की बात करता है, बट रिफ्लेक्शन की बात नहीं करता। और रिफ्लेक्शन ख्यालात, स्वभाव, सोच, यहाँ पे रिफ्लेक्शन आता है। ठीक है, सो आप प्लीज साथ साथ रिफ्लेक्ट कीजिए। और वेरी सिंपल, जो हमने आज बोला आप हमारे को व्हाट्सएप में दे दीजिए। रिफ्लेक्शन बहुत जरूरी है, और साथ साथ चाहे 2 लाइन लिखिए, 3 लाइन लिखिए, आप रिफ्लेक्शन जरूर कीजिए। बिकॉज सोच से बड़ी, कहते हैं, वो पूछते हैं ना, अकल बड़ी की भैंस। जब आपकी अकल बड़ी है तो उसे इस्तेमाल कीजिए ना। इतनी बड़ी अकल हमारे पास है। मैंने अजीब सा मुहावरा इस्तेमाल किया, इसलिए किसी तरीके से आपको चौंकाऊं और हिलाऊं, ये मेरा
और
मकसद है।
आपको यह याद रहेगा कि
तो
संदीप
यार,
सर ऐसा ऐसी बात कही थी। राइट।
मैं आगे पढ़ दूं थोड़ा सा, वृंदा, मैं
हाँ,
कुछ है।
यस, प्लीज डू दैट, प्लीज डू दैट।
Work closely with Uttara and think of suitable strategies that will work best for your students and improve academic performance. अब देखो, ये हल बताया जा रहा है। Believe me, if you can't find a solution now, no magic will work later. मैंने now बोला था आपको। When it's time for them to give their final exams, Mrs. Kapoor said, Uttara, please ask the teachers to give you a list of students who have failed, mentioning the subjects along with some indicative distress signals they may have noticed. Then prepare a rectification chart and meet me next week. ये इन्होंने एक स्ट्रेटेजी बताई है कि आप बच्चों की खमियां एक लिस्ट कर सकते हैं, और बाद में बैठ के उनके बारे में सोच सकते हैं। फिर एक एक बच्चे के लिए आप सोल्यूशन निकाल के उसे आगे संभाल सकते हैं। बट व्हाई डू किड्स परफॉर्म सो बैडली इन एग्जाम्स? रोमा आस्क्ड Uttara as they left the principal's office, especially in subjects like math and science. What do you researchers say about this? अगले हफ्ते मुझे उम्मीद है वृंदा मैम एक एक्सपर्ट को लाएंगी जो इसी चीज को एड्रेस करेंगी. What are the challenges we face in math and science? And I'm sure Brinda ma'am, you'll come back with a very interesting person next week. Sad but true. Test trauma is no fiction, Roma. And we put students through test after test. The mention of some subjects terrifies students. अब हम ब्रेन के अंदर जा रहे हैं. ब्रेन के अंदर क्या होता है? The subcortical structure reminds me of cortisol. ये हार्मोन होता है. Does it have any connection with learning, remembering, and recalling information? Roma asked. Yes, it does. Are you becoming interested in brain science? Uttara laughed at Roma's question and then explained. There is something known as the stress hormone. Cortisol is the culprit. It is secreted into the bloodstream during the body's fight or flight response to stress. जब बॉडी लड़ती है या किसी मौके पे रिएक्ट करती है, इसीलिए करती है बिकॉज आपके अंदर कॉर्टिसोल जो स्ट्रेस हार्मोन है वो रिलीज हो जाता है. What happens in the brain and body defenses in response to fear, prolonged tensions, or stress are activated. Even low levels of ongoing classroom anxiety can increase learning problems, especially with short-term memory. This is the major cause of schools failing to carry out their most important mission, learning. We mentioned learning, and you also mentioned earlier about taking them out for learning and changing the environment. Because of the fear of subject like math and science, too much adrenaline is released, which blocks the brain's ability to recall old information or store new data. Uttara's words echoed in Roma's head as she recalled her own days as a struggling student. So Roma, like you as a teacher, now she's remembering her childhood. Who knew better what it felt like to be branded a failure and loser when she was 10? She had failed scoring single digits in math and science. She had been terrified of her teachers. She had been unable to understand algebra or compound interest calculations. She had always been confused between land and sea breezes, which blew from where was an enigma to her. Nor could she get chemistry equations right. Her notebook was full of scrawled comments and corrections in red ink, जो आप यूज नहीं करते अब. That in itself was frightening. The work done by her in blue had red crosses on every calculation, marked by her teacher. Her poor math notebook was flung across the class by the teacher in disgust. Imagine teacher ने उसकी किताब ही फेंक दी उसके ऊपर. Can't you understand anything? How many times will it take for you to do the sum right, you fool? ये बहुत कठिन चीज है. टीचर को ऐसे रिएक्ट करना बहुत ही डेंजरस बात है, honestly. Her humiliation had been complete as she scampered between the benches to retrieve the notebook, which had traveled from the teacher's angry hands to some far-flung corner of the class. Her marks, when read out in the class, had caused nightmares, with the bright students snickering and making fun of her. She had lived with what humiliation year after year. Brinda, you're on mute.
Yeah, Sandeep, I just want to say something here.
Sure.
कई सारे स्कूल्स में ये प्रैक्टिस बैंड है कि किसी भी बच्चे के मार्क्स टीचर जोर से पढ़ के क्लास में सुनाएंगी, चाहे वो फर्स्ट आने वाले बच्चे के हो या किसी और के हो. तो आप लोगों ने जरूर वो फिल्म देखी होगी तारे जमीन पे. उस पे भी उस बच्चे के जब मार्क्स पढ़े गए थे तो क्या हुआ था ये हम सबको पता है. और आप लोग अगर अपने आप को रोमा के सिचुएशन में डालोगे तो आपको भी पता लगेगा कि उस पे क्या बीती होगी। तो किसी बच्चे के मार्क्स जोर से पढ़ के बोलना, तारीफ ज्यादा करना, या इस तरह से किसी को डांटना मार्क्स कम आने के लिए, दोनों ही चीजें अलाउड नहीं होती हैं, क्योंकि ये दोनों ही कुछ साइकोलॉजिकली अफेक्ट करती है बच्चों को। तो ये एक और हमारे लिए रिफ्लेक्ट करने की बात है कि जब हम बच्चों को उनका टेस्ट पेपर देते हैं, क्या हमने उनको एक एक करके टेस्ट पेपर क्लास में थमाने चाहिए और ये बोलना जरूरी है कि वाह तुमने बहुत अच्छा किया, या तुमने ना पढ़ाई नहीं है आज। अक्सर टीचर्स ये करते हैं। तो चुपचाप अगर हम टेस्ट पेपर्स बच्चों को दे दें तो बच्चों को खुद ब खुद ही पता लग जाता है कि उनके अच्छे मार्क्स आए हैं नहीं आए हैं। जिनके आए हैं वो तो खुश होंगे ही होंगे, और आप बोले या ना बोले हर बच्चे को पता होता है कि कौन सा बच्चा सबसे अच्छी तरह पढ़ के अच्छे मार्क्स लेता है और कौन सा नहीं ले सकता है। लेकिन जैसे ही हम बच्चे को किसी भी सब्जेक्ट में ह्यूमिलिएट करते हैं तो वो सब्जेक्ट तो वो बच्चा कभी पढ़ेगा ही नहीं। आपको लगता है कभी किसी भी हालत में रोमा को मैथ्स में कोई भी दिलचस्पी होगी कभी? क्योंकि उसके सेल्फ एस्टीम को चोट लगी है। तो ये चीज आप लोगों को जरूर सोचनी चाहिए, हम सबको सोचनी चाहिए।
वृंदा, अहम ही सब कुछ होता है जिंदगी में।
हाँ
जब टैलेंट को ठोकर लगती है
हाँ,
तो वैसे ही सीखने की क्षमता खत्म हो जाती है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
Roma had often wondered as a child how teachers perceived learners, perhaps just as inanimate consignments, couriered to school, packaged in uniform, carrying a bag full of books with complicated theories, formulae, and definitions that terrified them. Didn't I explain this equation at least twice in the class? What were you doing then? Why are you so absent minded today? Did you drink VAT 69 last night? VAT 69 alcohol hai. Just because you are good at basketball and chess does not mean you can get away with this attitude. Playing all the time is not going to give you a degree. How will you earn your living? The teacher would say when Roma raised her hand in confusion. So ये बहुत कुछ कह दिया टीचर ने, और इतना कुछ कह दिया कि आज की तारीख में तो कोई कोर्ट केस भी कर देगा पेरेंट उस टीचर के ऊपर।
बिल्कुल
इतना ज्यादा बोल दिया उसने क्लास में। अभी थोड़ा सा और पढ़ेंगे, हमारे पास 1 मिनट है। She had stopped asking and secretly wondered how many years, what VAT 69 was, and how it was connected to her confusion. Today she understood what had gone wrong. Her thinking had not been as its best because anxiety had been added to the learning and recall equation. As a struggling student, she had wondered how others understood so easily while she struggled. She had admitted to herself long ago that she was a slow learner. She was a moron. She had silently prayed, Dear God, please recondition my brain with compatible RAM memory, upgrades of lifetime warranty with maximum and expandable memory slots. ये सब चीजें कंप्यूटर के सीपीयू में होती हैं. She just couldn't get anything right, no matter how much she tried. But somehow, those days of terror had passed and she completed her final school's exams. She had worked hard and God had been kind. She had learnt and written down answers with chalk on the floor till she dreamed of them and sometimes woke in the middle of the night with half the answer forgotten. She would get up, turn on her flashlight, and reread the page with the answer she could remember. She solved every sum and she could find in any book. The one she didn't understand, she learned by heart. This is the way we go about in school. She faced the board exams with the fierce courage of a wounded animal. What a brilliant expression. She faced the board exam with the fierce courage of a wounded animal. She still remembered the day her math paper. A student from another school sitting 3 benches ahead of her had fainted. She felt she would be next as she had held the question booklet in her trembling hands. At first glance, the sums had been danced over the page and she couldn't breathe. She had gone blank. But the wounded animal within her would not let her give up. She looked at the question paper again, and the fog cleared, ever slowly. She saw at least 6 sums she had solved in the past months. She even remembered the answers. She knew she wouldn't get a 0. She managed to solve enough sums to give her a decent result. So we will pause here and admire her courage. We will put a highlighter here. Brinda, is it okay?
Yeah.
So we will highlight this and we will add a bookmark here and we will do a screen grab of this. We will add that to your WhatsApp in the Teachers Academy. I think it should be there. If it's not there, it will reach you soon. My only request to you is, yes, think it over. That's all.
Absolutely. Reflect करिए. आज कई सारी चीजें हमने सीखी हैं. Very valuable chapter for a teacher. Every chapter is. इस किताब की हर चैप्टर में हम कुछ अपने साथ ले जाएंगे. और आज जो जो चीजें आप यहाँ पे आपने देखा है, इस पे रिफ्लेक्ट करिए. और जैसे संदीप सर ने कहा है, आप अपना रिफ्लेक्शंस लिख के हमें भेजिए, व्हाट्सएप कीजिए या मेल कीजिए, जो आपको सही तरीका, आसान तरीका लगता है उससे करिए. And we will meet next Saturday, hopefully, with a guest who will talk to you about failure. Sandeep, I had written a little note on failure as a great teacher on LinkedIn. I think you may have seen my post. Maybe I can send it to you on WhatsApp after the teachers have reflected, after Rahul has come.
Lovely.
Right.
So I have put the date for the bookmark as 11th. Is that okay?
Yes. Yes.
So we will complete this chapter on 11th. And next week we will create space for the guest.
Yeah.
But please send us reflections of whatever we discuss with you in every section. आज हम का रिफ्लेक्शन आज इस हफ्ते बनाइए, हर हफ्ते रिफ्लेक्शन बनाइए. मेरा मकसद ये है, हर महीने नहीं, हर हफ्ते. रोजाना सोचिए, रोज रिफ्लेक्ट कीजिए, रोज शाम को सोने से पहले सोचिए कि एज अ टीचर आज मैंने क्या सीखा. बस अगर आप इतना भी कर सकते हैं, आपकी जिंदगी बदल जाएगी. सोने से पहले एक क्षण जब नींद आने लगे, केवल ये सोचिए, एज अ टीचर आज मैंने क्या नया सीखा. और इसका सवाल आपके पास, इसका आंसर जरूर आएगा. और आप मानोगे नहीं, अगर रोज शाम को आप सोचोगे आपने नया क्या सीखा, आप एक साल में 365 चीजें सीख जाओगे. तो फिर कोई डर तो रहेगा नहीं. और ये टीचर की एक कहानी है. So thank you, Brinda. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sandeep.
Happy Learning Forward Saturday.
Yeah.
Brinda और हम लोग अब वेलकम. Brinda और हम लोग थर्सडे को भी पढ़ रहे हैं. अगर आप लोग आना चाहें तो थर्सडे को 5:30 बजे शाम को हम बहुत अच्छी किताब पढ़ रहे हैं.
Very nice book. Very nice.
और इस सेशन में मेरे अलावा मेरे ख्याल मेजॉरिटी लोग गर्ल्स ही हैं. तो एवरी लास्ट गर्ल को आना चाहिए थर्सडे को. मैं तो एवरी लास्ट बॉय रह गया, एवरी लास्ट गर्ल तो आई नहीं है.
हम लोग एवरी लास्ट गर्ल पढ़ रहे हैं. और ये आप अगर एक भी सेशन ज्वाइन करेंगे तो आपको पता लगेगा पढ़ाई लिखाई करने का स्ट्रगल कुछ कुछ जगहों में क्या होता है. ठीक है. ऑल राइट. Thank you, everybody. We shall meet next Saturday.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye, Sandeep. See you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you,
ma'am. Thank you, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.